We continue here. It is the Jake Asman Show on the Sports Map Radio Network. We come at you live coast to coast on our network of affiliates as we are yet another day closer to Super Bowl 55 down in Tampa. Now joining us on the Progressive Guest Line is someone's name that I expect to be called. I expect him to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is former Chief, former Viking. The great Jared Allen joins us now. Jared, appreciate your time today, my friend. I hope all is well.
My pleasure. Yeah, we're doing good. Hope you guys are doing well as well.
So Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame finalist. What does that mean to you? Are you excited?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, man. It's definitely been one of these surreal, just humbling moments where, to have your name listed with all these other phenomenal, generational type players has been such a cool deal. It's just been one of those moments to reflect back and enjoy your, kind of take a different angle and enjoy moments in your career, with people that helped me get all the way. And, my kids are older now, so they can, they see it a little differently. Obviously, my wife was, with it through me most of it. So, just kind of, there's all these different affirmations of success that, you did it the right way. And like I said, the honor and the respect that comes with being a part of this finalist class, man, it's just been such a cool experience. So for me, I just take things as they come. If it happens, great. If not, I guess, I'll have to wait another year or when, if it does, and, so yeah, I've just been enjoying the ride.
Now, I want to talk all about your playing career, but I got to start with this. You had arguably the greatest retirement announcement that we've ever seen, with you on the horse and just saying, that's it, see you later. I mean, yeah. How did that come together? Did you think about that for a while, that you were going to do it that way? Take us back to that moment.
Last minute, my wife gets all the credit for it. We were moving back from after the Super Bowl in Carolina, so we had just driven from Carolina back to Chicago. We were packing up the rental house in Chicago, heading back to Arizona, and it was just storming and just crappy in Chicago. And we were just been on our feet all day packing the trailer, and my dogs were barking. My wife was like, you need to get a pedicure, and so I broke down. She was like, why don't you just come? I'm like, I'm not getting a pedicure. The answer is no. And nothing about this says pedicure. And she was like, you don't have to get your toes there. Just let them rub your feet. I was like, I could take a foot rub. All right, gang, a little foot soak and foot rub. So we went to this place, and I'm texting my buddy's house we were going to stay at, his farm, along the way. And he was like showing us pictures of like, oh, I can't wait till you get here. It's beautiful here. The sun's out. And, I knew that, my retirement, letter or whatever, basically letting the league know that I was retiring was going to come out on that following day. And so, like, oh, we got to put something out. You can't just let it be some news story they pick up. So, we're looking at the pictures, talking to my buddy, and my wife was just like, you should do like a Charlie Chaplin video. Like, just don't say anything, just ride off into that sunset on a horse. I'm like, that's a genius. Yes. This storm literally followed us the entire way to Iowa. And when it got there, I mean, it was just blowing. It was so miserable. It was so cold and so miserable. I felt bad for the horse. And yeah, so we knocked it out. That's how it came about, and ended up being quite epic.
That's incredible. So I mean, when you look back at your career, it surprised me actually how long you actually were in Kansas City. Like, I always just kind of consciously remember you as a Viking, but you began your career with the Chiefs. Do you still have a great connection to that organization as well?
Yeah, not like the Vikings, it's been so long since I've been a part of that organization, but I still know, there's some Vikings coach, Eric Bieniemy there. So I obviously pay attention, watch them a little bit. I know a lot of the equipment managers and those kind of guys that are still there. And obviously the Chiefs have been great. Since retirement, they've welcomed me back as a Chief alum. I've been back there to bang the drum and to see, Clark and Norma Hunt and everybody like that. So that organization is phenomenal. The fan base is phenomenal. But yeah, I spent my first 4 years there. I had no plans of ever leaving, and sometimes the business side takes hold and things happen. But then obviously 6 years in Minnesota. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I consider myself a Viking. That's just where I did the bulk of my career. It's where that organization. When I left the Chiefs organization, and they put a lot of trust in me. They made the trade to get me. They gave me the contract that I wanted, and so I'm eternally grateful to to everybody I played for, but to the Vikings organization. Nothing but love Rick, love the firm. I'm so happy that with George, and now he's the guy over in Denver. Stefanski's crushing it. So I root for all my Vikings guys to do well.
Jared Allen joining us here, of course, a Hall of Fame finalist. So, when I look back at your career, I mean, you were involved with, you'd go toe to toe with some of the game's best edge rushers. I mean, how much pride did you take in the fact that year after year, your team could rely on you to get double-digit sacks and to be an impact player on defense?
Yeah, I mean that's I was always striving for greatness. Always chasing the greats, and I never allowed myself to get to a point where I thought I arrived. And every year I was trying to prove myself and outdo the year before. And for me, the reason I play D line is because you get first crack at every play, and call it selfish, whatever. I mean, I wanted to make every possible play I could possibly make, and I've had a lot of great mentors over the years from players and coaches, and the only way you know how to lead is by example. And if I'm not out there getting it done, then I can't expect other people to do their job, either. So, we had so many great players in Minnesota. It made it easy though. I mean, our D line was second to none. You had Antoine Winfield, we had Greenway, Lieber, EJ Henderson. I mean, we had a little run there with the defense that I'd take stacked up against just about anybody.
Which city has better food, though, Jared? Kansas City or Minnesota? Or
Totally different atmospheres, too, right? So, like, when you go into a Kansas City game, you smell that barbecue. It doesn't matter how cold it is. You put your windows down, you drive in the parking lot, and you just, man, it's football Arrowhead. There's something special about that. So, I got to give the barbecue hands down to Kansas City. I mean, I am a Jack Stacks. A lot of people are like Gates and Arthur Bryant's. I'm a Jack Stacks baby back ribs with some burn ends and some beans, on the side. So that barbecue is killer. But Minnesota has a legit culinary scene. I think that people don't realize. Which I heard. What was the big sausage place downtown? It was one of my favorites. It shut down too. Obviously, COVID's had an impact on everybody, but Minnesota has some amazing restaurants. Bar La Grassa was one of my favorite. Dude, what was the other one? The little taco joint you had. Barrio. Barrio was one of my favorite places to go. So yeah, there's a laundry list of them.
The only time I was in, Minnesota was for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. We were basically, in the mall the whole week. But everywhere we went from the locals, there was, you got to try a Juicy Lucy. You got to try a Juicy Lucy. So let me ask you this, Jared: was a Juicy Lucy a go-to when you were on the Vikings? Was that part of maybe a post-game meal if you guys had a big win?
No, you know what? Usually post-game I'm with the mayonnaise. Get a big steak with some lobster mash and all that good stuff. But Juicy Lucy is definitely a Minnesota staple, along with walleye. I'm a traditionalist. I believe it's Matt's had the original, so you stick there. But I never went out for a Juicy Lucy. We made them at home. We just throw them on the barbecue grill. Let's be honest, it wasn't that that hard to make. Patty, cheese. Pinch it together, put it on the grill. But yeah, so you got to have some walleye. You got to have some cheese curd. I know that's a little north of the Minnesota border, but yeah, Minnesota has a great culinary scene, and so.
Hall of Fame finalist Jared Allen joining us here on the Jake Asman Show. I've always wondered with guys that, obviously make their mark with one team, but then play for a team in that same division or go to a rival team later on in their career. I mean, there was probably no better, person you could ask about that transition than your quarterback on some of those Viking seasons. Brett Favre going from, of course, Green Bay to Minnesota. But at the end of your career, when you played for the Bears, what was that experience like, playing for a team in the division that's obviously an arch nemesis of the Vikings?
Yeah, it wasn't, it's the last resort. I was trying, when I left Minnesota, Rick and I had a long, great conversation, and I love Rick's film to death. And we're just honest with each other. He's like, I don't want you to leave. I don't want to leave, but I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. We don't have a head coach. We don't have a quarterback. Don't really know what's going on. And at the time, we were working a deal with Seattle, and we just didn't get where we wanted to get to on numbers. And the Bears, came in last minute and pretty much gave me everything I was asking for as far as a contract wise. And they had the number 2 offense in the league that year. Cutler got hurt later in that year, and they were on a pretty good roll. They probably end up winning the division if Jay doesn't get hurt that year. So I was going from a place to where they were playing a similar defense that I like to play. It was a place that was comfortable. My wife's from Chicago. It's in the division, so I know the division, and the number 2 offense in the league. So now I'm going to be playing with a lead and just pinning my ears back. That was the thought process. It didn't work out that way. I got there. This is probably the Vikings fans probably put a hex on me. I got to Chicago and working out, and I blew my L5 out in the off season. So I struggled with that the whole year. Caught pneumonia. Just struggled with that the whole year. Then everybody got fired there again too. And so it was, Foxy came in. I love Foxy and Pace and all that stuff. And so I was able to get them to trade me up to Carolina so I could finish my career with my hand in my dirt and ended up, making it to the Super Bowl. The good Lord has a way of taking you where you need to be though. So it was I felt a little treasonous, playing for the Bears, but it is what it is.
Was the best team you played on that Vikings team with Favre that went all the way to the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, that and my Super Bowl run with the Panthers. I mean, those teams were very, very similar in the way, those locker rooms were very similar. The makeup, a lot of veteran players, just so much fun, so much fun. And I've always said Cam Newton, he has a lot of similarities to Brett. I mean, his enthusiasm for the game, his ability to take over games, and it's infectious when his enthusiasm and stuff like that. So those two were very similar. But yeah, I mean, if I had to choose one, it's 2009, for sure.
Is it bittersweet in hindsight knowing about, what happened after that game with the Bounty Gate stuff? Like, how do you view that time period thinking back?
No, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, you can't cry over it, right? If they were penalties, the ref should have called them. And, so if the ref calls the penalties, that changes the course of the game. They didn't call the penalties. So it is what it is. You got to play within the confines of the game. You don't get caught. And it's not cheating unless you get caught, right? So I actually am more pissed off about the 4th and 1 in overtime when dude went over the top. I think it was Greenway hit him. He fumbled the ball backwards and then tried to, advance it back. They gave him the first down where forward momentum, and then you can't advance a fumble on 4th down. So should have been our ball, whatever. But I was actually on that Panthers team with Roman Harper, so we like to go back and forth. I tease Roman all the time that he's wearing my Super Bowl ring.
Hall of Fame finalist Jared Allen joining us here. Jared, before we let you go, let's talk about what you have going on with Volvo. They have a Volvo Safety Sunday, $1 million more. It's a sweepstakes competition. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so that $1 million more reference is actually referencing to 1 million more lives that they want to save through technology and innovation in the Volvo car. So Volvo actually invented the 3-point safety harness, I think it was back in the 50s, and they were credited with saving 1 million lives up until last year. That's why they were giving 1 million cars away. The seatbelt has saved 1 million lives, and now they want to save 1 million more through, like I said, innovation and technology in their cars. So that's what the 2 million number represents. And then the tie-in with the safety is obviously Volvo is a historically safe vehicle. They're world renowned for their safety, and I hold I'm tied for the most safeties in NFL history. So it's a cool little play, but I just love the safety aspect of the Volvo. I love the fact that they're trying to help people, and I just think it's so much fun that, like, imagine we get a safety, we're gonna kick 2021 off giving away over $2 million worth of cars, and it's not like base model, like just here's the keys to to a Beetle that we don't make anymore, or that's a Volkswagen. Sorry, just here's the keys to an old car we don't make anymore. They're allowing you to design your own car. You know what I mean? So you get to go in, bro, get the top, get the XC90 tricked out, like make it nice, and you have a possibility of winning it. So I think it's cool what they're doing. It's been a fun thing to talk about, and I think it adds a little more excitement to the game. I think the last time we checked, there was over a couple 100,000 people that have gone to VolvoSafetySunday.com and registered. So you got a bunch of people watching this game with a little something extra on the line.
Who would have thought when you were playing and racking up all these safeties that it would then lead to this, a great partnership like
the good Lord work. Not to mention, see, I drove one of my first cars growing up was a 1987 Volvo station wagon, the 940, and it was like I said, it was a big long boat, and so when they called me, I told them I was like, I actually drove a Volvo in high school. They were cracking up.
He's Jared Allen, of course, a Hall of Fame finalist. I'll say it one more time, Jared. I told you this off air. To me, you are a Hall of Famer. You should be a first ballot guy. I'm wishing you the best of luck this weekend. And hopefully next time we talk, we could say Pro Football Hall of Famer Jared Allen.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for having me.
He's Jared Allen, of course, the finalist for the Hall of Fame. We'll take a quick break and continue here on the Jake Asman Show.